Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is. Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And for those of you who like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. I make these videos and you guys know there are people who not only run dislike bots, but because this is going to be not a very pro-vegan video, the vegans are all going to click dislike. And if you guys don't like veganism or you enjoy these videos, try to keep that like bar higher than the dislike bar. Like only you can make that happen. So just reach down there and click it. It would be greatly appreciated. But over to the point. A large number of people have told me, hey Jason, Patrik, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, and I don't care. All you guys come in and you write. Phonetically, it's like this. I don't care. Okay? People can't even get my name right with 2 syllables. I'm not even trying to do that one. So over to the point. Patrik, the strongest vegan in the world, has accepted Brian Shaw's challenge. Because the problem you have is that everyone knows, because all the experts chimed in on the whole Game Changers documentary. They pointed out it was extremely intellectually dishonest, it was full of scientific lies, and we had all these false claims by vegan athletes. And that's kind of the point. And people have to remember that. Veganism is known as a demographic for being full of liars. Okay? And what I mean is that a lot of the top vegan ethical experts in the world have essentially said publicly their stances are, we are willing to lie to promote veganism. We believe it's that important that even if it turned out to be terrible for your health or for performance or anything else, we should still lie and claim otherwise. Why? Because we believe ethically it's the right stance, and if we have to lie to do the right thing, then it's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly acceptable. Okay, and we see that, and you look at the way that vegans attack other people. Look at the recent attacks that were thrown against me by vegans for my stance on these things. Extreme, intellectually dishonest attacks. Intellectually dishonest attacks. Because that's what they do. And you guys also have to remember, veganism has been correlated in studies with very high levels of mental illness. Okay, so for vegans to lie in a documentary like this is actually the norm. It's standard. It's normal. Well, the problem you have is that when they chime in and claim that they hold different records and things that they don't. Again, you have to understand that is the ideology of veganism. It is to lie. Because they believe their stance is so right ethically that if you have to lie and cheat and do whatever you have to do to promote it, then it's acceptable. The greater good. Now, I personally hold a different ethical stance, and this is not a moral channel. This is not a political channel. I personally believe veganism is morally repugnant. I think it's evil. And I do mean evil. Like, I think it's insidiously evil. That's my opinion. But that's not really the point here. The point here is going to be about strength and performance at this point, because they are flat lying. Every expert chimes in and says, look, it is harder. It is more difficult to achieve peak athletic performance as a vegan. And when you're competing at the highest levels, the extra problems with doing this has put you at a disadvantage. Not saying it can't be done, but it's more difficult. And being the best is already insanely hard. Okay? It is insanely hard to be in the top 1% in any sport. Insanely hard. Handicapping yourself with extra handicaps is not advantageous, and it is a handicap. I'm not saying you can't be great as one, but it is going to add a degree of difficulty. And I'm sorry, guys, being fit and strong and athletic is hard enough. We don't need this. We have guys like Patrik who came in and lied about he flat lied about his claims. Okay, he is not a world-class level strongman. He's not. Not saying the guy's not really strong. He probably is the strongest vegan in the world. He very well might be. But he also competes in strongman, not at the world level. Competes well at the national level in his country. He's not a world level competitor. Okay, he's not. And strongman doesn't actually test strength as it's pure in the purest sense. Okay, the sport that actually measures brute strength as the primary attribute in which it measures is actually powerlifting, which is my sport. Strongman, I'm not saying strongmen aren't strong, but people do need to remember different sports measure different things. Okay, strongman measures a number of attributes and how they kind of weave together in an athletic environment. It doesn't measure pure strength in the purest sense. Okay, powerlifting measures brute strength. Strongman measures strength-based athleticism. That's a better way to put it. Strength-based athleticism. And generally, the best strongmen are frequently slightly more, if not quite a bit more athletic than powerlifters in my sport. There are powerlifters who are, quite frankly, stronger than a lot of the world's strongest man competitors when we measure pure strength. Now, Patrik brought up, again, a strongman lift, not necessarily a measure of pure strength. There's a conditioning component. But he's not the best. He doesn't hold a record in it. Brian Shaw does. Brian Shaw challenged him to come to his gym and try to beat him on any lift. And of course, Patrik accepted because he's going to ride the publicity of this. He's going to make money off this. He's a vegan hero. And if he can get more publicity, he's going to get interviews, book sales, whatever he's got to do. He's going to make money. From a business perspective, I get that. No one's going to knock him for that. Problem is, he knows he's not all that good at what he does relative to the other people in his sport. He's not in the best. He's not in the top 1%. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that is the reality. The only reason anyone's talking about him is because he's made this famous vegan stuff. That's it. If it wasn't for the vegan thing, he wouldn't be anybody in strongman. No one would care. No one would care at all. They wouldn't care because he's not relevant. He's not relevant in his sport. He's a mid-tier, maybe upper mid-tier athlete in his sport. And there's nothing wrong with that, guys. Most people in a sport are at that level or lower. But no one would be talking about him. So he's going to ride the publicity out. The problem is that he can't hang with Brian Shaw. And he said, I'll challenge you to a raw squat using only... Well, that's not really raw. Knee wraps are not raw. So I actually went to see how much he could squat. And I found some squat footage. And the heaviest squat footage I found is about 7 years old with him doing a 360 kilogram squat with wraps. What would I put his squat strength at based upon that 7 years ago? Now, he may not be that strong anymore. He might be stronger. I don't have any other frame of reference. For me, as a power lifter, I'm going to say, well, the knee wraps add up to 80 to 100 pounds to your squat, by the way. We know that based upon my sport that measures both in competition. There are guys who have broken the records in both categories, with wraps and without. We can look at the disparity in the exact same lifters in the same year who competed in both. We can see how much you get out of wraps. So let's assume you take 40 kilos off the wraps, for the wraps. That's about right. He also couldn't hit depth on the squat. He was not able to reach depth. That squat was higher than giraffe pussy. All right, so he can't get to depth on a squat. And with knee wraps, I'm going to say in that Patrik is probably a real good mid to high 600 squatter. I would say in terms of on pounds, he's probably maybe about a 650 up to about a 680 raw squat if we were to actually do a legitimate raw squat. Now, that's pretty strong. That's stronger than I can do right now, right? He's got a good 100 pounds on me in terms of squat strength. For me as an old dude up in my 40s, he can out-squat me by at least 100 pounds. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But he's not going to hang with Brian Shaw on that. He can't hang with Brian on that. So he's going to go get the publicity, but Brian is going to destroy him on everything. He's going to destroy him on everything. And let's come over to the point. The problem with the documentary, they touted veganism as superior. Well, that's a problem. Because here's the problem. If it's superior, nobody in the world should be able to beat him on any feat of strength. If he is the strongest vegan in the world, and veganism represents the ideal athletic and strength diet, he should be able to beat every top-level power lifter and every top-level strongman on pretty much every event. Problem is, he can't beat him on anything. If Brian even matches him on the squat, and Brian's going to crush him on the squat, he's going to crush him on the squat. If Brian matches him on the squat, that already doesn't work in favor of veganism. Because if veganism is superior, he should be able to squat more. Problem is that Brian can crush him on like 50 different events. Probably not just a squat. He can crush him on everything. That's your strongest vegan. And people need to highlight that. When this comes over and vegans try to bring up the thing of vegan performance, if veganism could hang, the top vegans would be competing with the top omnivores. And I hate it when they keep saying carnivore, because the carnivore diet is not what anybody does, okay? The carnivore diet is former vegans who are rebelling against veganism. It is almost equally as moronic. Okay, I want to make that clear. It is almost as moronic as the vegan diet. So when they say, well, carnivores, none of us are carnivores. Humans aren't carnivores. Humans aren't vegans. Humans are omnivores. We thrive best, we perform best, we do our best as omnivores. We are cooked omnivores. That is what we are. That is what our bodies are designed around. That is where we thrive. Notice I didn't say raw. Humans are cooked food eaters, and we're omnivores. That's our niche. We perform best, our health is best, we're most optimal in that environment. That definitely includes our athletes. The vast overwhelming majority of elite athletes will always be cooked omnivores. That is going to be the reality of it. Cooked food primarily as omnivores. Not saying some raw vegetables aren't good. Most of your food's going to be cooked. It's going to be a mixture of animal and plant. That gives the best performance, the best muscle growth, the best recovery, the best training fuel. And the vegans can't hang with that. Yes, there's going to be a tiny few vegans every now and then who do pretty well. They're going to do pretty well. But there's going to be 100 omnivores in their same sport that can bury them. No matter how good they are. And that's the problem, is that every one of these people, there's a few guys out there who get highlighted for being reasonably successful as vegans. And they say, well, they're still better than most people. Well, yeah, because genetics, hard work, drugs all still work. They all still work, even with a suboptimal diet. The problem is that their suboptimal diet puts them still below the other people. Puts them below the other people. And that's exactly the point. The best vegans you can find, we can find 100 omnivores in their exact sport who dominate them. They didn't get where they were because of the vegan diet. The vegan diet is probably holding them back somewhat. They would actually be better if they dropped this nonsense. Therein lies the problem. And that's exactly what we're going to see with Patrik. And he's going to ride the publicity out. I don't blame him. I would too. Smart business move. But he's not on Brian's level. He is not even in the same ballpark, or not even in the same game. And I think Brian handled it very well. Brian was very classy in his response. Very calm, very non-insulting, and I'm going to give Brian props for that. Because, to be fair, Patrik's a liar. He is a flat liar. He doesn't hold any records in anything in his sport. And he tried to claim Brian's record. And Brian, I think, handled that very, very gracefully, very respectfully, and then challenged him to, hey, why don't you come train with me, and let's see what you can do. I think that was very sportsmanlike behavior, and I think Brian handled it like a gentleman, and I have nothing but respect for that. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.